Hi everyone, delonewolf here. Welcome back to some EVE Online, and in today's video I'm going to talk a little bit about the skill point craze that CCP started by deploying the skill extractors and skill injectors in the game on the February release. Now some of you guys asked that I would talk about this, but as I've said, I wanted to wait for the actual deployment on TQ to see how everything worked out. So at this point the extractors and injectors have been on the market for more than a day, and it was pretty entertaining to read up about everything that was happening. I was at work, so I couldn't really take part in this or follow too closely all of the news, but some of the stuff is pretty damn cool. So first of all, of course, there was a little bit of entertainment to be had when it comes to the hype. Let's maybe quickly go to the market here, and then we get pilot services, and here they are, skill extractors and skill injectors. So what was the entertainment that I was talking about? Well, we already have our first kill mail, which was like on the evening of the deployment of these skill extractors, that someone got kills with 10 injectors in the cargo hold. All of them dropped, and the pirates basically managed to gain some SP just from ganking a player. Pretty amazing mistake, considering that you can actually use these skill injectors and extractors, I assume, from anywhere in the galaxy. So you don't even have to be in the station to actually use them. Just like with Plex, there is no actual reason to physically move any of them, except if you're greedy enough that you actually want to try and sell them at a better price somewhere else. But that happened. The first kill mail with 10 of them in the cargo hold showed up. Another thing was that some people found out what it could cost you if you removed skill points from your character. So some people actually removed their social skills, and then promptly found out that they were no longer welcome in HiSec in Empire space. So that is something to keep in mind as well. Of course, if you go too far into the skills that you remove, you could end up removing some really basic skills or some social skills that are actually helping your reputation stay within acceptable range, and the consequences, of course, of missing that could be pretty hilarious if you get shot by the Navy all of a sudden. Let me see here. Oh yeah, another impact. Things have normalized here. I mean, we're back to around 2,000 people in Jita local, but there were more than 3,500 people in Jita when the craze actually hit, when these skill extractors hit the market. Pretty crazy. I'm sure that CCP actually was prepared for it and must have reinforced the Jita node, but to see Jita spike up like that, and then the huge amount of activity that this has sparked, was pretty damn interesting. We also got some metrics from CCP Quant. So it turns out that it was 2100 EVE time, so probably, what would that be, 9 hours after deployment of the patch, 30 billion skill points had been extracted. That's just a crazy number. And from all the re-injections that had happened, 5 billion skill points had already been destroyed. So all of that is going to take quite a bit of time to fully analyze, and of course the long-term projections for these goods is probably what's going to be the most interesting. But the scale of this is actually pretty mind-blowing. I would say that this does show that the feature is a huge success. I can imagine that the CCP's cash flow will have increased quite nicely all of a sudden with the deployment of this patch, because in order to extract 30 billion skill points in like 9 hours, let's say half a day, quite a bit of aura must have been spent. And granted, a lot of that will probably come from Aurum that is still in wallets. Do I have any Aurum here? No, not on this one. It's always on my main. But yeah, a lot of people did still have free Aurum lying around there. They will have been using that in order to get skill extractors. It definitely was going to be a good bang for your buck there compared to skins and things like that. So I think a lot of people did jump on that opportunity. But I also definitely think that a big part of all of these extractors will have been paid for by players just straight up with cash, buying Orem packages, maybe reactivating their accounts and things like that, because there were some specials happening at the same time. But the scale of it is pretty damn amazing. So let's maybe quickly look at some of these numbers here on the market. So first of all, the skill extractors, they're going for around 300 million for the sellers, 300 million for the buyers. So the gap has closed right away. No crazy prices to be seen here. The volume on day one, that is pretty crazy. This is bound to be like 30,000 units or something like that being traded. Very, very high volume. I think that this will of course normalize very quickly here, but the price range has basically been calculated by the player base right away. You do see that there's quite a bit of activity. All of these are in fact less than an hour old, and here's one at 293 coming in for 28 of them less than a minute ago. So this is a very active market at the moment, and I do think that it shows that it was a successful idea to implement by CCP, at least from the perspective of CCP wanting to try and start a new source of cash for this. Skill injectors, let's take a look at that. Volumes also equally crazy. Look at that, 20,000. So this is definitely more than 30,000 units on the first day here. That is definitely crazy. And so far we are already at 15,000 units here as well, at least on day two. These prices are going for 646 million and the buyers at 635. So a bit of a small margin. And I think a lot of people are actually expecting these prices to go up. So that is going to be decently interesting to view what the skill injector market is going to do. I actually feel, considering some of the numbers we've had, so it was said that there was 30 billion SP extracted, 5 billion SP lost, and something like 16 billion SP that was re-injected into characters, making a total of 21 billion of the 30 billion actually used up. That means that a lot of people will actually be starting to hoard these just like Plex. And I think that these could become another store of value for the ISK that you earn in game. The skill injectors, they are possibly an alternative to Plex, although personally I think that Plex is better, because that's just basically your account, and Plex has a lot of other uses, such as buying Orem with that, and there are often special things that CCP organizes around Plex. So personally, I still think that Plex will be better, but I think that a lot of people are treating the skill injectors in a very similar manner to Plex, and that of course is going to, I think, have the consequence that as Plex continue to go up on inflation, skill injectors are also probably going to be increasing in price along with inflation. The more people see this as an actual store of value. So yeah, 650 million for a skill injector is pretty much what you have to pay for right here. Obviously, I'm going to cover this every week as well in Eve Talk. So I'll just add this one, these guys to the quick bar, and then I'll cover those every week as well. I think it's going to be very interesting to see if they do their own thing, or if indeed they are strongly correlated to Plexes themselves. And yeah, let's take a look at what those are doing. Ouch. 1.283 billion, so Plexes have definitely gone up. And you can see right here on the chart the rise. We are above 1.25 billion on the 5-day moving average, and it is obviously increasing in price. Volumes must have been crazy as well. Let's see, probably 4 times the normal amount of Plex that have been traded. So what I find really interesting about this, and it was also pointed out in a Reddit comment, is that the volumes increased like crazily, right? 4 times the volumes of a normal trading day. We're already at twice the volumes today as well. But the price did not increase all that drastically. But my personal opinion on this is that the fact that the price still increased is not a good sign for Plex if you're looking for lower prices, because there are actually two forces at work, in my opinion, that will have kept things under control substantially. First of all, there was a sale going on. CCP was doing basically specials across the board with reactivating accounts, and you got an extra extractor, special stuff on the Oran prices, and a slight Plex sale as well. All of that, I think, to try and keep things in check. It seems to have worked, but the big thing, I think, is this huge volume spike, 4 times the normal amount of Plex. A lot of people will have come out and basically dumped a lot of their stocks in order to get rid of Plex and exchange those for skill points or skill injectors as a new store of value. And this increase in volume, I think, the fact that these don't come from straight up purchases from CCP should also have put a lot of downward pressure on the price, because you all of a sudden have all of these Plexes that are just basically flooding the market. It should have put more pressure on the price, and the fact that we are still up, that we are up quite sharply, that we've easily broken 1.25 billion here, I think does indicate that Plexes are still going to increase in price. So this is my gamble. Honestly, I think that there will be people that will want to cash out. You know, if you manage to buy anywhere close to the 1.15 billion and you've got a few Plex lying around, current prices are probably going to make you a decent amount of money on a trade. If you then want to invest your ISK in something like the skill injectors, expecting that these will increase in price more quickly than Plex for some reason, that is definitely something that you could do. But me personally, what I'm seeing here is that despite all the efforts and all the activities that should have actually depressed the price in Plex, so the specials and the dumping of big stocks, the increasing of the supply here, we actually still have a pretty sharp rise, and apparently a pretty sustainable rise as well, because the buyers have gone up to 1.268 already. And I think that this means that if CCP drums up more hype for the expansion and more vets come back, that this will only add to the pressure on Plexes to go up even more. And I think I'll be holding on to mine, and I'm actually planning to take a profit close to or right after the expansion. I actually think that there could be a top there. Now this is like pure speculation on my part. The reason I think this is just my previous experience with expansions and Plex prices. So don't take this as gospel. I could be completely wrong as well, but that is how I'm reading this situation. I think that it is pretty damn interesting to see that such a huge volume like this, with a lot of them coming in stocks and a sale, has not managed to decrease the price, but we still have a pretty sharp jump up here. So if we reach 1.3 billion, I would say that chances are really good that that we could indeed start to see even higher Plex prices than we already do. So yeah, that's basically the analysis, right? At the moment, the market is still a little bit crazy. It was just basically a skill point craze. Everyone wanted in at day one. They were ready for this. People that wanted to extract skills and make ISK probably did so. People that wanted to get SP for certain skill points for certain ships, certain skills, whatever, they've also made their moves. I think a lot of the players with really deep wallets have done so as well. And yeah, it was definitely quite a rush, quite a craze here all of a sudden in Jita when all of this launched. I think it'll still need a little bit of time to fully digest everything, but let's try to give my analysis on these skill extractors and skill injectors. So let's start with the positive. First of all, of course, the big positive is the success of the implementation of this in the game. It looks like the player base has actually massively adopted the use of these skill extractors. It can still be questioned what percentage of the skill extractors that we're seeing on the market and that have been used have actually been purchased directly from CCP. So have actually translated in an increased revenue from CCP. But I think just the sheer volume of this does mean that it's going to be a significant quantity. And if this remains as successful as it seems to be at the moment, this could really be something that is a nice revenue stream for CCP. And what I personally like about this is the fact that this doesn't violate the rules of the sandbox, because no SP is created by CCP. All the SP is merely traded, and yeah, with the loss of 5 billion skill points already from all the re-injections that have happened. This is also actually a little bit of a sink for skill points as well. So honestly, it looks like it could be a very good choice business-wise, but it could also still be a good choice for the sandbox, because actually getting rid of some SP is not necessarily that bad for the longevity of the game. Now, what I didn't really like, I mean, this is just personal preference, I don't like it when a game actually straight up basically tells me, hey, look here, you could spend some money and I will give you something in return. So as I opened up, I logged in on this account, this was actually flashing, and so they said, hey, you're not trading any skills, but here you go, if you want you can buy a skill injector. It's this new thing that we've added to the game, and yeah, if you then have to try to find out how to actually get there, you have to go to the New Eden store. Now, they didn't put a button to the New Eden store for injector packages or anything like that, so they kept it toned down, but of course it is a little bit in your face towards newer players or people that are coming back after a while to say, hey, look at that, you could buy SP straight from the market. It is not what I prefer to see, but of course CCP wants this to be a successful feature as well, so it's sort of normal that it is there. But yeah, for the absolute positives, I would say the success of this is a really positive thing, and the fact that at its core this feature doesn't break the rules of the sandbox, I think makes this success all the better. Now, for the bad points, because I do have a few elements that I think are not so good about this. First of all, the longevity basically of the game, right? You have a lot of veteran players now that have spent a decent part of their fortune probably just basically buying all the skill points they've ever wanted. You know, you'll have day one carrier characters, they'll have optimized all their alts by now, and they'll even have probably a couple of reserves that could last them a few years. And when I mean that, I don't like this idea for the longevity of the game. Is what is there to still look forward to for these players? They can't train towards a new ship, they can't train towards a new goal in EVE Online anymore, and I do wonder if that could be bad for the game on the longer term. Now, on the other hand, of course, one thing that basically struck me as I was thinking about this a little bit is that this is also a self-correcting problem, because if people that have purchased a lot of SP here already and now have characters with 200, 300, 400 million SP, at some point they'll basically figure out that they've made a mistake for the longevity of the game, and then they're just gonna quit. And so this feature could actually incapacitate a lot of skill points, a lot of those high skill point characters from actual gameplay, which is sort of an advantage for newer players, because as more people actually see the SP as their end game and then figure out, well, I just bought everything, whether it's with real money or just from the market through their ISK. If they then quit the game, they don't use the character anymore because it's boring, which I would personally expect it could quickly become, then that is just basically going to lower the SP average of the active players, and that could be better for the new player experience. But that is of course something extremely high level, something that is almost impossible to measure, and so this could be something that can either be good for the game or be bad for the game. And I'm still leaning towards this could actually be bad for the game if you have a lot of veteran players that have been playing the game for years and years and years. Now they basically bought all the SP they could ever want, and what is there still for them to keep going, to keep working towards in the game? I think that could be something that will end up as a negative in the longer term. And another thing that I don't really like, of course, is the perception of these skill injectors and these skill extractors, because I guess it's the total biscuit podcast where Total Biscuit, Dodger, and Jesse Cox and another guest were talking about the game. The perception of EVE Online is already as a crazy game where real money is lost, although that is not exactly the case, of course. Even by really knowledgeable people when it comes to gaming, the Plex system is not fully understood, and the fact that now you can basically buy skill extractors for Aurum from EVE Online for non-EVE players will, I think, not be perceived as something good. This will be perceived as a pay-to-win feature, because they're not going to make the distinction of these only extract skills, and players have had to train those skills beforehand, so they're already in the game, nothing is created. That's a nuance that is already missed in Plex. It's a nuance that's also going to be missed in the skill extractors and the skill injectors. And so for newer players that browse the market, take a look at these pilot services and see something like this, it is going to have a bit of a pay-to-win flair to it, and that could actually detract new players from the game, because it's only going to show even more how far behind they are in the game. On the other hand, a slight nuance on this, of course, is that this is actually affordable, right? A skill injector for 600 million for someone that really actively goes and plays the game, whether it's like some wormhole or nullsec exploration, a good amount of ratting in a good ship. This is something that is actually earnable in a few weeks, and so as a smaller goal than a Plex in a month, this could actually be something that is not such a big barrier. So people that see this as a pay-to-win feature for EVE Online, that basically just shows them how far they are behind in the game, Plex will give them that exact same feeling, but at least the skill injectors are somewhat doable as a goal in the game in just a matter of a few weeks or even a few lucky days in exploration. Yeah, it's the same, I think, problem that Plex already has. It gives a wrong perception of the game towards non-EVE players, but the lower price of skill injectors, the fact that this is in much smaller increments of 500,000 SP, could actually turn out to be a positive as well, because this is something that is fathomable. This is something that is understandable and manageable even for newer players as a goal. So I think that overall, this is really interesting. I'm still neutral on the feature as a whole, especially seeing the success that it's had now in the short term. I'm still slightly worried about the long-term effects on the longevity of the game, but at the moment it pretty much balances out and puts me at the exact same neutral position I've had since the dev blog actually came out. It's going to be all about keeping an eye on these, seeing what people use them for. Hopefully we get some entertainment out of it. Honestly, losing 10 of these on day one must feel pretty damn bad, but it's pretty entertaining for everyone else. And then just seeing some of the crazy numbers and activities that we've already had here in Jita has been fun as well. And of course, all of the scams are now using the skill injectors rather than Plex and things like that to try and scam people out of their money. So let's just, I think, be pretty damn happy that CCP has chosen a system that follows the rules of the sandbox, and let's give it a chance. I think I'm definitely going to keep an eye on it. I don't plan to use it myself, to be honest, unless I would somehow make a huge amount of ISK out of nowhere all of a sudden. But so far this feature actually seems to be working out quite positively, I think, for the game in general. Anyways, that's it for my video on the skill trading. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you all next time.